Welcome back to Emotional Mojo. All right, y'all, raise your hand if you have issues.
Oh, you know
If you do not raise your hand at home, you are lying, and that in itself is an issue. It's not just a statement. That's the title of the new book by Michael Baisden. Please welcome former radio host, author, social activist, mentor, Michael Baisden to our show.
Thank you
so much for coming on Emotional Mojo.
Great being here. I want to clap because I'm happy to be here. Unlike your other guest who was nervous around you all, I love being around attractive, intelligent women, man. I love our differences.
How long do you want to stay?
All day long. All day long.
We can hear this. I like
Well, you're great for Emotional Mojo, and
Thank you.
here's why. You came from humble beginnings, right? We know the history of you, a college dropout, single parent, worked as a transit worker in Chicago. So what was the first step you took to change your life? How does that happen one day?
I think it happens the way it does with everyone. You get sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know, sometimes you don't make that move until you just get that fed up, whether it's relationships, whether it's deciding to be an entrepreneur. I just got tired.
And
I
you
got
just
tired
have
of,
to just do it.
Yeah, I got tired of working for the man,
Yeah.
you know, and I wanted more control over my life. I had an experience on the train where I was freezing with, you know how cold Chicago is, being from the Midwest.
Yeah.
And I just got tired of working that same hamster wheel, as Russ talked about.
Yeah.
And it was time for something different.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we mentioned issues a second ago. So your latest book, all about issues. And you say one of your biggest issues is people who believe they're never wrong. And I
Right.
think we've all been there, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah.
Why is that an issue, and how do you deal with
And it's so
those
annoying.
people?
It is.
Yeah.
It is, because you can't fix it like Alcoholic Anonymous. You know,
Yeah.
you can't get recovery unless
Right.
you have admission that you have a problem. But you know, one of the real big issues for me in the book, and I talk about that, because originally the book was going to be titled Whatever Works. Because one of the most frustrating things for me, I'm 50 years old now, I just turned 50. Shout out to all the 50 professionals out there. 50's a new 49.
Yes, yes.
And what bothers me about people is this box that we fit in. You know, like this show, for example. Someone decided to do this show because they wanted to do something different.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I'm about. I'm about different. I did radio different. I started my business different. I write differently. This show was about doing things differently. And so for me, it's because people are trying to fit into a box that they're having the biggest problems. Whether it's marriage. When you were married, I'm sure you were married in a way that worked for you.
Right.
You have a relationship, you're married, you do a marriage that works for you. And a lot of times people try to put too much emphasis on the way other people are having success in marriage and business and spirituality, because I heard you all talking about that with Russ. I do it my way because I know it works for me.
But how do you know what works for you? I know that might sound like a silly question, but for somebody else, how do they know if what they're doing is the right thing?
Mess up. You know, we mess up. I mean, that's how you have success in business. It's funny to me that we have that same philosophy, and we will agree that we do it in business, that when you fail, you learn.
Yeah,
when you have
sure.
relationships, you fail in your relationships and you learn. So the same thing applies to spirituality. You practice different things. They work out. You continue to grow with that. They don't. You don't. You can have two Christians. You could have 2 Christians or 2 Muslims sitting here right now, and I promise you, they worship differently.
Yeah,
they could
of
be in the
course.
same
Right.
church, and they will still have different practices.
Yep.
So I'm not here to judge you. I'm telling you to be as different as you want to be and find a way that works for you. Because that box, you're never going to survive and be successful inside of that box.
That
No way.
box. Kick that box.
It's impossible.
Exactly.
It's
So it's
impossible.
all about, you know, raising your hand if you have issues and not trying to hide them.
Exactly.
And saying, you know what, I've got it, here it is, put it out there, and then get over it.
Oh, I could get into so much stuff here about monogamy.
Just a little bit.
About
Give us
how,
a little taste.
and just in terms of whether or not, like people who want to be married, there's people in open relationships, there's people in monogamous relationships, there's gay
Right.
couples now, and you see gay people start to say, we don't want to fit into your box. And look
Right.
how much success they're having finally after really going through a hard process to get the freedoms that they want. And I think you have to fight for those same freedoms in your marriage. You have to tell your friends and your family, stay out. If you all don't stop telling your business
Oh my
to your
gosh.
family and your friends, because you're in a very unique marriage with 2 unique people.
Yeah.
How many different religions are there? Probably thousands of different religions. And people join those religions because that religion
fits.
works for them.
Yep,
right.
Same thing applies to marriage and business. You have
Yeah.
to do the same thing.
Yeah. Can we talk about the One Dream, One Team mentoring program
Yeah.
that you started?
Yeah.
What is that all about? How does that work? You work with Big Brother, Big Sister. Tell us about that, because I think it's great.
Well, I'm from the south side of Chicago. You know, they're killing each other in Chicago.
Yeah.
A lot of our young men
lot of
are
violence.
dying around the country, and it's happening everywhere with a lot of our young men, particularly African-American men.
Yeah.
And so for me, we have so many people who talk about doing things. I'm so tired of the so-called leaders and
Yeah.
people who claim that they care, but they really are not doing enough. The churches who are doing a good job, I shout out to you, but we don't have enough help coming from churches. We don't have enough help coming from our leaders. So for me, instead of complaining about it, I traveled around the country to 70 cities on a bus,
Wow.
donated $500,000 of my own money. Now that I'm off of radio, just because I'm off of radio doesn't mean the help stops. that means I have more time. And so I kind of
that.
adopted
Yeah.
28 young men at Evans High School, and so now we're mentoring them along with the teacher Jarvis Wheeler,
Wait,
who brought
you just
me
said
in.
you adopted 28 young men.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, you gotta look. It's not enough. I've already raised my 23-year-old daughter. She's graduated from FIU. She's in Los Angeles doing her thing.
Yeah.
So now I have time. I've taken care of my nieces and nephews. Real men are response able, and nobody really thinks about what that word really means. It means able to
do a
respond.
Slow clap.
When something
Right,
happens,
right.
you respond to it. That's what responsible is.
Well, and that's
right.
exactly what our daily life challenge was today, was to give back. And so you're using your talents.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even have to be about the money, although you've donated, of course, a good deal of money for this
Yeah.
too. But, you know, it's about your talents and mentoring these young men to become the kind of men that we need in this society.
Right.
But if you have money,
That's-
give it up.
There you go.
You know,
Give it
you
up.
have too many
Right,
rich people
right.
who are sitting on all this money.
yeah.
My pledge is to send all 28 of these boys to college. If I have to pay for it myself, I'm
Amazing.
going to find a way to make it happen. So there's enough of us who are doing well out here that we need to give back to these young people. Otherwise, you're going to pay anyway. You're going to pay
Sure.
$60,000 a year to lock them up in prison,
Sure.
which has become a corporation. So my attitude is stop talking about doing something with these kids and get out there and do something about it, because we're losing them. Black, white,
Yep.
Latino, Asian. We need to step up. It's
Yeah.
not enough just to take care of your own children.
So how can people help? How can they?
Well, join
get
Big
involved?
Brothers Big Sisters. Start your own mentoring organization. You have the Scouts, you have Boys and Girls Club, you have fraternities and sororities who are doing a great job. Everyone's church should have a mentoring program.
Yeah.
Your church doesn't have a mentoring program, you need to
Start
talk to the pastor today and tell him we need
Yeah.
a mentoring program.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Right.
Yeah, and I love that you actually aren't telling people to go do it themselves. You do it first.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Lead
And-
by example.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
not saying this is a wonderful idea for all of you out there reading my book.
Yeah.
That's
You are
right.
saying,
You
here
know,
we
and
go.
you mentioned how you have time now. You spent so much time on the radio.
Yeah,
More
10
than
years.
8 million listeners
Yeah.
a day. How is life outside of the radio station now? Because you're still reaching people clearly, but in different ways.
It's busier.
You know?
It's
Yeah.
busier because my Facebook numbers are still 3,000 people per day. That's on
Wow.
Facebook on Baisden Live. We just hit 1 million, by the way. Thank you all for supporting me. I appreciate
Wow.
it. And the reason why it climbs because we're inspiring people every day. They're hearing things about relationships, inspirational things about starting your own business, about your health, your body's your temple. I use those same features on Facebook that I did on the radio show. People respond a lot better to inspiration than they do negativity.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They do.
Well,
They, people want to be inspired.
That is
They
why
do.
we are here.
That's why you've
Right,
been
right.
successful.
Baby.
And it's made a difference.
And we're starting to see that trend too, because we do these inspirational videos on the show,
Mm-hmm.
and now more and more they're user-generated content. It's
right.
not
Yeah.
some like commercial. It's people getting out there, meeting other people, doing good deeds. I mean, and you're out there essentially doing the same exact thing.
We want to be together. Black people, white people, Latino people. We have a common interest, whether it's our children, which is something we can always rally around as
Yeah.
our
Oh,
kids,
yeah.
right?
Oh, my gosh.
And we can also rally around inspiration. We can rally around business. All the networking groups that I work with, we work with White Chamber of Commerce. We work with the Latino, the Moroccan, the Caribbean. People want to come together. It's all this political mess that we're listening to
Right.
that's keeping us separated because people really do want to work together.
Yeah, yeah. How do you recommend we keep the positive in our life? It's so easy to look at the negative, what's wrong in my life, what I'm doing wrong. How do we keep it positive? What can people take?
Be intelligent. The
intelligent.
negative doesn't work. I mean, that's a process of elimination. We've already tried negative. Negative has not done anything for this country. It doesn't do anything for relationships.
Yeah.
It doesn't help you in your business because people do business with people they what? They like. Right?
True. That's
You
right.
have me back if you like me. We work
Right.
together if we like each other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, if you're smart, if you want to be successful in business, be someone that people like.
Yeah.
And it's easy to be a person that they like if you're being genuine in the first place. You don't have to keep putting on and taking off faces. Just be a nice person.
That's right.
Well, we don't just like you, we
genuine.
love you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much,
Thank you.
Michael,
Great.
for coming by.
Thank
you
you
guys
for
make
having
sure
me.
you
I
check
appreciate
out
it.
his book. We'll be right back. You're watching Emotional Mojo.